Hey Spartans, it is day 19 of summer school. We're getting closer and closer to the end. So today we're going to be going from ingenuity from 75% to 79%. Make sure you get up to 79%. The faster you finish up, the faster you can kind of either go back and do old material to bump up the grade or at least know where your grade stands. So don't think that that's where you should stop. I would actually consider that the starting point, and then I would, if I was in your situation, I would try to finish out the semester, try to get all the way up to 100%. If you do it before the first, or if you do it before the last week, that's definitely less on your mind. Okay, so today I will respond to your responses yesterday and tech tutorial and then jump back into Ingenuity. So let's look at your responses yesterday. Yesterday I had you use moleview.org so that you could look at the molecular structure of two different molecules and make comparisons. I was interested in um, some of the drugs that we encounter, particularly some of the over-the-counter drugs. Let's see if you guys read that article on deadly drugs. I think the most surprising thing is that Tylenol is so dangerous. Uh, Acetaminophen can definitely uh, really mess up your liver, and people are usually not aware of that. I mean, if you overdose on Tylenol, there are some pretty severe consequences. Uh, yeah, you just got to be careful with the dosage for Tylenol. Over the counter. Yeah, a lot of people were surprised by that. Okay. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Can cause severe lung damage. Yep. Now, keep in mind, another reason why there are so many is because Tylenol is pretty ubiquitous. That's a pretty big word that a lot of people don't know yet. So ubiquitous. Ubiquitous is present, appearing, or found everywhere. It's just something that we see all the time. So Tylenol is uh, one of the reasons why there's so many overdoses because it's just so common in every household, and for good reason. I mean, it is a very good analgesic. An analgesic is just a drug acting to relieve pain, right? Um, so it is a great pain reliever, but if you take too much, you have problems. And concentration is a really important topic in chemistry. Calculating concentration is important, and that can actually really help with certain things, like knowing how much to dose out. Um, we had pet rats, and we had to dose out some pain medication, and it wasn't something that you was super complicated. You just look at the regular dosage by gram of body weight, and then you can multiply it by your gram of body weight and find out what your appropriate dosage is. If you go above that, that's when you got to be careful. Um, yeah, so Tylenol, no good. Let's see. Okay, have you guys compared some? And most of the opioids are going to look awfully similar on Moleview. So if I was to go back to moleview.org and look, I compared methadone and hydrocodone. So methadone. Okay, methadone, pretty different from hydrocodone, I believe. Yeah, hydrocodone's got more of this structure like an opioid. Methadone has a slightly different structure. Only one oxygen. Yeah, they're pretty different. Morphine and codeine. Hydrocodone versus morphine. This is more along the lines of, do you see any difference? There's that difference. Just these end groups. That's it. The base structure is all very, very similar. But these groups on the end, that's basically the only difference. So a lot of these pain medications, a lot of these analgesics are going to be kind of similar. Let's see. And let's look at your comments. Or actually, let's look at chemistry B as well. And you guys got that. Okay. Antihypertensives kind of surprised me. Yes. uh, because if they reduce your blood pressure, if you take too much of them, then you have no blood pressure at all and you go into cardiac arrest. All drugs are deadly when misused or consumed. The one that caught my attention was Tylenol because many children and adults take it when compared to a common cold. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things. Codeine and fentanyl. Let's see. Codeine and fentanyl. Yeah, fentanyl's completely different. That was a good catch. Fentanyl looks completely different, but I'm assuming that these rings with the nitrogen, let's see. There's something to do with the nitrogen in the rings that hits a particular shape and a particular receptor that causes a reaction. So it's one of these things, but that's a good catch. So they're not all exactly similar. Uh, Morphine, codeine. Yeah, cool. Very alike. Tylenol caught you off guard. Uh, is also being told to us. Oh, good. That's good, Denise. So you already learned that. Maybe you learned it in my class. Who knows? Or maybe you learned it in health. That would be good if Vance went over that. I compare morphine and oxymorphine. They have the same amounts of hydrogen, nitrogen, almost the same amount of oxygen. Yeah, they're all pretty similar. Okay, so thank you guys for responding to that. Today, I want to go over Google Forms and make a survey for our class and then have you guys make a quick survey. So if you haven't used Google Forms, you're probably going to be using it quite often next semester, at least for probably checking in. I think it's good then to know what's going on in the back end. So go to forms.google.com, forms.google.com. It'll open up this, and let's make a new form. So let's new form. Let's make this our Chemistry AB Summer 2020 feedback form. Okay, so first thing they give you, and it'll change that. Do you want to collect email addresses? I'm going to make this anonymous, so I don't want your email address. So no for that one for me. On yours, feel free to collect email addresses. You can actually limit who submits a response based off their email address if that's something that you want to do. I know most of the LA Unified sign-in things, they require email address. So that's something that you can change. We'll take that out. So we have a lot of options when we make a new question. When we make a new question, we can do a short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, checkbox, drop down, all these different things. I can even have you guys upload a file of some sort. We'll set that up. So for the case of my class, I'm just kind of curious. I want to get feedback on my courses. Please submit your responses to improve my future course. Okay, so I'm curious about ingenuity. So let's make this a linear scale. And I'll make it a 1 to 5, and I have labels. So how much did you learn from ingenuity? Nothing. Too much. How difficult was the material on ingenuity? And I'm going to keep the same scale. Easy enough. How enjoyable was the material on ingenuity? So I'm kind of curious about those three. How much did you learn? Like if you actually learned anything. If you didn't learn anything, then let me know. I'd be curious because that's my goal is to get you guys to learn something. So if you aren't learning anything, not really useful for my class. Okay, how difficult was the material ingenuity and how enjoyable was the material ingenuity? On the flip side, I'm kind of curious about my videos. How much did you learn from my daily vlog videos? I'm gonna do the same thing, and you can see I'm automating this by copying questions. So we'll flip this. We'll just copy this one, drag it down. How difficult was the material? How difficult, I'll say, were the tech tutorials from the daily vlog videos? And how much did you enjoy the tech tutorials from the daily vlog videos? Okay, so I got those guys. Now we didn't really use any of the other ones yet so far. Oh, let's do a drop down. And we'll bring this to the very front because we got to make a what chemistry course were you enrolled in for the summer session? This will help me distinguish between those. So those are my drop-down options. You can either do one of those. I haven't had a need for a checkbox or file upload. No. You know, I'm gonna let you guys be creative and put those in if you want. One thing that's good is to always put in some, you can change the theme. I'll change it to blue for Silmar. You could choose a header image, but I don't think that's necessary. I'll let you guys play around with that if you'd like. What's good to know though is the responses. The responses go into a Google Sheet as long as you have assigned that. So after you've made your questions, and I'm not asking for too much, after you've made all your questions, go to responses and click up here, create spreadsheet. And this will create a new spreadsheet that'll dump all of the responses in. Now there's a lot of things that can be done with that. We can maybe make a script. We can edit. So, and it puts all of this in here. Let's make sure that we can see all of that with the text wrapping. Okay, so these are all the things that we would get, and then we can average them out and get some values. Now what I'd like to see you guys do, and you have to share this. Sorry, I should have done that. Let's send, and we don't need to collect email addresses. Let's get a link, and we're going to copy this link. So that's going to be our link here. Please complete this Google Forms survey on the summer course. Okay, and you just give me like a, okay, did it, I've completed it, and I can get some data back and start looking at the numbers. This one right here, I'd like a link. Create your own Google Form survey. Now, there's lots of things you can ask about. You can ask about, I don't know, I would collect potentially phone numbers or contact information from some of your classmates next semester. So this can be a useful activity that if you send this out to all your friends, maybe you or all of your classmates, you can collect everybody's contact information and create a group chat, get that rolling early on in the semester. I think that having a group, especially some way to communicate outside of classroom, will be very, very important. So create your Google Form survey, link it here. And it could be anything. It could be what's your favorite food, and you can just put questions in there. So I want to make sure you guys can make a Google form. And the last one, comments, questions, or feedback. I'm going to cut this one short because the baby is crying. You can hear. I I will see you guys tomorrow. Hopefully it all goes good. Okay, have a good one.